Hi everyone. This week we're going to work on trying to burn out our core. We were unsuccessful. You'll probably have to do more exercises than we did, but I'll show you the exercises we did and you can judge for yourself how much you want to do. And then we also worked on fine motor control of our abs, basically. And the exercise that we use for that you can use to try and isolate other muscle motion if you want to get better control of your muscles so you can fire. Basically, if you wanted to fire just part of your arm, you can use this technique to figure out how to fire just the part that you want to fire. All right, let's get to it. For this practice, you'll need an interval timer, a bottle of liquid where you can see the top, like a bottle of water where you can see the top of the liquid, and a weight. You could either use an actual hand weight or you could use like a can of soup, basically anything that has a little bit of weight. So to start off, we're going to try and burn out as much of our core as possible. And like I said, we were unsuccessful. For this, we're doing 1 minute of action with 10 seconds of holding. And we're starting out with rounded sit-ups where you go around one side, around the other side, then up the middle. And then on the rest period, you hold wherever you are. I've sped up the exercise portions of these because it's not that exciting to watch. But yeah, so basically go off to the left all the way around to the right and back down, off to the right all the way around to the left and back down, and then straight up and down, and then repeat that. And like I said, we were unable to actually burn out our cores. And fortunately or fortunately, you use your core for pretty much everything, so it's difficult to burn it out. We did about a half hour of exercise to try and burn it out, and we were unsuccessful. Yeah, holding in awkward positions is always fun. It is also good to do this with other people because you can keep your spirits up, which is kind of nice. Make fun at what you're doing, and you should be able to talk during all of it because you should only be tensing what you need to tense, ideally. Ah, that was nice. I got to actually rest at the top. Doesn't happen that often. So after you do you're set for that, you shake out your body a little bit. Make sure you don't have a lot of extra residual tension, a little bit of stretching. But don't take very long because you want to get back to the exercising fairly quick. Because the idea is to keep pushing those muscles. So for the second set of exercises, we're going to do leg lifts. And again, that's during the action portion of the interval timer. And I'm doing left and right, basically. And then on the cool down, I'm actually I let everybody just lay flat. If we wanted to make it harder, we would hold it in whatever position we were at when it said the cool down. think we were joking at that point about one person who laughs during a lot of things who was unable to laugh during these, which was funny in and of itself. And then gonna walk it off so the hip loosens up a little bit if you're using that and that was tight, so the core muscles can relax just a little bit. And again, this cool down shouldn't be for very long. And what the exercise I was going to do next were they're called Russian twists, where it's a leg lift on the opposite side of the pull-up that you're doing. Or not, sorry, not pull-up, sit-up. And then you switch to the other side. But one of the people on the call, their hips were starting to hurt, so we changed the exercise to make it less of an impact, especially on the hips. And so instead of doing the Russian twists, we simply held the sit-up in various positions. So for one count, you held it straight up. For the next count, you held it off to the one side. Next count, you held it off to the other side. And on the cool down, we actually let us cool down where we laid flat. So see here, you see me going off to the left, and you hold it to the left for about a minute. Then you get your cool down of, it was 10 or 15 seconds. I think it was 10, where you just lay flat, and then you go up to the other side and you hold it. And as you can see, I'm talking during it. You should be able to talk, because you're not doing exercises that compress your chest, so you can still move air. And your neck should be relaxed enough that you can talk normally. And you saw a little stretch because back was getting a little tight. And the whole point of us trying to burn out the core is so that for the next part, it's more obvious what's moving and what's not moving. That's the only real reason for it, for this set of exercises at least. All right, so now we're going to take our bottle of water and our weight and put them on different sides of our abs. And the goal is to move the bottle without moving to move the weight without moving the bottle. So you have to move half of your abs. And this is to build better muscle control. And you can do this with any set of muscles that you want, where you put the bottle of water on the musculature you don't want to move, because it's a very good meter of what's moving, because you can see the line shift and change and all that. And then you put a weight somewhere else, and you find a way to move that muscle without moving the bottle much or at all. And I'm just balancing the bottle between my fingers. I'm not really holding it much. So here we realize that it's hard to actually look at the bottle while you're doing it. So some people got pillows. I had a rock and just to hold my head up so I don't have to use those muscles while trying to figure out specific muscles. And again, I'm trying to move the weight without moving the other side. And I'm holding the weight as lightly as I can. It's basically just to make sure it doesn't fall, because I have control but not enough control to make it completely flat and hold it. And it's the same with the bottle. You hold it lightly so that it is resting on the point, so that it just doesn't fall off to one side. That's the whole goal for the holding. And you watch it. You watch the line to see if it tilts one way or another, if it bounces, if it moves. And if it does, then you try and quiet the part that's holding the bottle even more while moving the other side. And the reason this kind of control is useful is when you're practicing and you want to try something, you want to figure out what works and what doesn't. You really want to be able to narrow it down to a specific muscle if possible, and how that pulls on everything else and how that changes everything else. But if all you can figure out is, well, I turn towards them, so, 70% of my body fired, it doesn't really let you refine what you're doing very much. This hopefully, like this kind of control, hopefully lets you refine it. And that's what we were going for. So I was able to get the weight, and that's a 25-pound weight. It moved about an inch up. If you have a lighter weight, you can also try moving down. With the 25-pound weight, it basically moved down for you. So you didn't have to drop or find a way to drop your muscle. I just had to be able to pick up the weight. With something like a can of soup, you can try both directions, both up and down, because it shouldn't be heavy enough to really press into you that much. Then you can see it wavering a lot because I'm trying my best to hold it as lightly as possible, so it's not my arm or hand doing the motion. And of course, you try both sides because you want to build that skill everywhere. It's not trying to build just one point. You're trying to use this to understand how to build a skill. And there I'm trying to show how lightly I'm holding it, to show that if the bottle moves, I know the bottle moves, and it was moving. It wasn't completely still. But each time I tried to get it to be a little bit more still. And like I said, you could do this with any set of muscles. Like if you want to be able to fire your forearm but not your bicep, you put the bottle of water on the bicep and you put the weight on the forearm, and you find what motions can keep the one point quiet while allowing the other point to move. Or if you want to move your hand, be able to tighten your hand into a fist without firing your biceps or tricep or whatever. Same idea. We did the abs / core because it relates to other exercises that we were trying to figure out, or have been trying to figure out, as you've seen in previous videos. But it doesn't have to be just there. So since we're trying to figure out the core, we had to do different kinds of motion. So here I put a can instead of the weight off on one side, and the idea was to press against that can without moving the bottle. And the reason I chose the can instead of the weight here is because the surface area it's an easier surface area, whereas the weight has the chunk at the bottom and then a very thin area for you to hold on to. The can is just flat as far as connection to my side, so if I can move it at all, I notice it, whereas with the weight, I would have to be able to move as far in as that handle is, which would not have been possible for me at that time. So yeah, I'm trying to expand my abs. Maybe abs is probably the wrong muscle, but it's that area, that line around the middle, trying to expand that out, in this case to my right, while keeping the left where it is and calm. And trying different leg positions to see if that changes anything. And if so, what? And here the motion isn't very big. So I should practice it more so I can make that a larger motion. And of course you could try like to the side and up. You could try your back if you had somebody who could watch the water, or you could like set a tablet on portrait view so you could see the water or something like that. And of course, like with everything, try one side, try the other, and see what you can do. And you can see the can move a little bit. It's not a lot, but it does move. If you can isolate that musculature even more, that'd be great. Having the two items also gives you a physical point of reference, because you can feel those 2 points. And you want to keep one calm while pressing the other. And it's an exploration on how do you do that. I can't tell you specifically how you fire one muscle. I can give steps to figuring it out, but I don't have a set of words that really describe it well. Other exercises you can do are taking something kind of pointed. For us, it was a knife or a dull knife, and you press it into the point and you move the point, like you move that muscle away. And then you start trapping other parts of your body so that only that point can move. So you can't use other parts, like you can't turn your hips, you can't step. You start to limit what you are allowed to do. But something like a knife makes it very obvious where the point is and what muscle is feeling it. So that can be easier. Just got to be careful. Basically, don't hurt yourself or someone else if you're doing this with partners. All right. And then we get to what I've been talking about most of the time is you just change the locations and isolate different parts to see what you can move without moving other parts and things like that, so that you know that it is a means of learning, not a technique. It's not saying this is how you learn how to move abs. It's saying this is how you learn how to move individual muscles, any individual muscles, and you apply it to whatever you want to try and work on. Can you move your chest without moving your abs? Can you move one side of the chest without moving the other side of the chest? Can you move part of your arm without moving the other part of the arm, etc.? And hopefully this kind of muscle awareness and muscle control will help in anything you practice, because you'll have a better idea of what you're actually doing. And it's not just these large, broad strokes. If I stand kind of in this fashion, in this position, then perhaps something happens. That's a little too vague if you really want to get good at something, in my opinion. But knowing how the rest of your body changes when one muscle fires, that's useful. Here, at this point, I'm really hoping that the weight doesn't fall and smack me in the face, but all right, that's it. Hope it was useful. Till next time.